your host, RenTen ASMR. It has been a while since my last video, and I apologize for that, but I assure you, we are back in business. In today's video, I will be explaining the NBA in-season tournament. So, for those of you who watch basketball, you may have noticed an increase in weirdly colored courts and a confusing setup. All this talk of an in-season tournament and tournament play games. What does it all mean? Well, rest assured, I'm here to tell you what it is all about. So, the NBA in-season tournament, as you can probably tell by the name, is a new tournament that will be taking place during the regular season. Usually, the basketball season is comprised of 82 regular season games, and this year, as an added incentive to get players to play early in the season and just bring in more watchers to the sport in the regular season, the NBA has decided to create a mini tournament of sorts. So yeah, that's what it is. So, how does the NBA in-season tournament work? The 30 NBA teams are divided into 6 groups. Each group will have 5 teams in it. Each team in a group will play the other members of its group one time. So, you have teams 1 through 5. Team 1 will play Team 2, Team 3, Team 4, and Team 5. So a total of 4 games. At the end of the 4 games, once every team in the league has played all 4, 8 teams will advance to a single elimination tournament. So the team in each group with the best record after the group play games, group play meaning the 4 games you play within your group, the team with the best record will advance, along with the team from each conference with the best record in group play games that finish second. So, say that you have a group where maybe you won 2 games and you tied. Maybe you won 3 games and you tied. And so you didn't make it as the best in your division, your new group, but you had the best remaining record of all of the groups. You can make it as a wild card spot. So once group play ends, you move on to the knockout stage, and it will ultimately lead to a championship game that will decide the winner of the new NBA Cup. So, you might be asking yourself, what are the NBA in-season tournament tiebreakers? So, if 2 teams have the same record at the end of the group play stage, how do we determine which team is better, who gets to advance? That is a very good question. And so there are a few different tiebreakers, and I will list them in order of most to least important. First is the group stage head-to-head. So, if 2 teams finish with the same record, but one team during those games beat the other one, that team will advance into the next round over the other team. Then you have the group stage point differential. This is how much you won your victories by. Maybe you won 3 games and you lost 1 game, but the game that you lost was by a lot. Then your point differential might be very low, or it could be even negative. So you'll take a look at those 2 teams that are competing for a spot and see which one has the best point differential. That one will get the advantage and get to advance. After that, if that happens to be the same, then it'll move on to group stage total points scored. So this is a sum of all the points you scored across the 4 games. Since group play has already started, you may have noticed a couple games ago, Joel Embiid and the 76ers were playing against the Detroit Pistons. At the very end of the game, Joel Embiid shot and made a 3, but it was right at the buzzer, the final buzzer. The 76ers were going to win the game. The shot did not count, but people were getting quite upset because they were citing bad sportsmanship. You know, you're already up, you're going to win the game. Last second, why are you launching a 3? And Joel Embiid defended himself, saying, "These people don't know the rules. Every point matters in this tournament." And Joel Embiid is in fact correct. If it happens to get to that third tiebreaker, you want as many points as possible. So I think it was fair of him to go for that extra last second three, even though it did not end up counting. Then, if after these three tiebreakers, the two teams remain absolutely even, like they're tied in all of these ways, you will move on to the 2022-2023 regular season record. So, I am not a huge fan of this tiebreaker. Obviously, it's very unlikely that it gets to this stage, but if you happen to be tied in all of these ways, then they rely on how good you were last year to say, okay, you can go ahead and plan the elimination round. And if somehow, after all of those things, you still remain tied with the other team, there will be a random drawing used to determine who goes on to the knockout elimination rounds. So, after learning about this new format in this new in-season tournament, you are probably thinking, so who is in each group? So basically, what happened is each team was placed into a pot, a group, based on its 2022-2023 regular season record. In each conference, one team was selected from each pot and placed into each of the three groups in the conference. Pot 1 had the teams with the 3 best records in the conference, Pot 2 had the teams with the 4th through 6th best records in the conference, and so on. And so, here, you look at the West and the East. Each one has 3 groups. You have West Group A, which has the Memphis Grizzlies, the Phoenix Suns, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Utah Jazz, and the Portland Trailblazers. Then, in West Group B, you have the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Clippers, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Houston Rockets. Lastly, in West Group C, you have the Sacramento Kings, the Golden State Warriors, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, moving on to the East. In East Group A, you have the Philadelphia 76ers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Atlanta Hawks, the Indiana Pacers, and the Detroit Pistons. Then in East Group B, you have the Milwaukee Bucks, the New York Knicks, the Miami Heat, the Washington Wizards, and the Charlotte Hornets. And lastly, in East Group C, you have the Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets, the Toronto Raptors, the Chicago Bulls, and the Orlando Magic. So, when is the NBA in-season tournament? Well, it has already begun. Most of the NBA in-season tournament schedule has already been set. Group play games will occur every Tuesday and Friday night in the month of November, with the exception of Election Day, which was a couple days ago on Tuesday, November 7th to be specific. So all NBA games on Tuesday and Friday nights for the rest of the month are group play in-season tournament games. For the knockout stage, 2 quarterfinal games will be played on Monday, December 4th and Tuesday, December 5th, and these will be nationally televised games. Both semifinals matchups will take place on Thursday, December 7th. And then the championship game will be broadcast on ABC on Saturday, December 9th. The lights in the classroom I am in just went out, and I am not going to fix that, so the rest of this video will now be in dark mode. You might be asking yourself, where will the NBA in-season tournament be played? Well, it's kind of just built into the regular season schedule, so all of the group play games will just take place at the team's home locations, It'll be played at one of the 2 teams' home courts, but once we get into the semifinals and championship matches of the elimination rounds, those games will be held at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, which is considered to be a neutral site. And so, you might be asking yourself, what is the player incentive for this tournament. Like, why would they try harder? Well, because there is a hefty payout if you happen to win the in-season tournament. The payouts for players whose team advanced to the knockout stage are as follows. You have the champions winning $500,000, the runner-ups winning $200,000, the semifinals losers winning $100,000, and the quarterfinals losers winning $50,000. So, of the 438 players with 2023 to 2024 salaries listed, 283 of them will earn less than $10 million, meaning that the NBA Cup win would be like a 5% bonus for most of the players in the league. And some other details about the NBA in-season tournament. There will be a most valuable player for the tournament and an all-tournament team based on the group play and the knockout play stages. So, as like there's usually an all-NBA team and an MVP at the end of the year, there will be a in-season MVP and in-season team. I don't think that really, I don't think that is considered that impressive yet. It's kind of like Damian Lillard's bubble MVP trophy. Like, whoever wins it will have some pride, will have to recognize that they did well, but is it truly an accomplishment? Only time will tell, since this is the first year of a new annual tradition. And so, how will the NBA in-season tournament impact the regular season? All the in-season games will count as regular season games. All the in-season tournament games will count as regular season games in the team's win-loss record standings, except for the championship game. So basically, what will happen is once we move on to the elimination round of the NBA in-season tournament, the rest of the teams in the league will continue to play basketball, just with other eliminated teams. So all the group play games and the knockout games will count towards your overall record, except for the championship game. Those two teams will just have to play an extra game this season. The price you have to pay to win $500,000 each. And yeah, that is about it. Hopefully this helps you understand why the Phoenix Suns are playing on a purple court, why there are all these influxes of ugly jerseys, and why on Tuesdays and Fridays they talk about these tournament games. I believe we've gone through maybe one or two. We've had a couple of these, and so I think that it's not a bad idea. Like, it's definitely not making the sport worse to watch. I feel like these games have been quite competitive for the most part. Teams are not just giving up. Sometimes I feel like it's mostly the Wizards this season, if I'm being honest. Those guys are just not trying in some of their games. But in-season tournament, it gives them motivation to really push for it. You have people like the Pistons and the 76ers on Friday. I think the 76ers came down from like 15 or 20 in that game. Weren't doing well, but it really incentivizes winning early in the season. We'll have to see if they make any modifications to the prizes for this tournament. I know that Tyrese Halliburton earlier in the season was saying like, oh, I wish that the winner of this got an automatic playoff spot. That is kind of a crazy idea. I think that's a little bit too much because, winning in like November, early December, you could have a good record and then there's like no incentive to do well until the playoffs. So I think that's a bit too extreme. But I am interested to see how this goes and how it affects players who are in the sport. So far, I think the result has been good basketball, so I'm a fan. And yeah, it's just like a fun little thing to keep track of. I was a little bit confused by the format, I won't lie. The fact that it was only on Tuesdays and Fridays threw me off a bit. I kind of thought that once it started, every single game was going to be a tournament game. But I guess that's not the case. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you for watching. If you like NBA or NFL or just random ASMR spoken content, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. I will be making more videos now that my midterms are over. I'm back in business. So thanks for sticking around and staying subscribed if you are subscribed. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.